Let's be real. Putting your best professional foot forward in English, well, it can feel like a pretty high-stakes game, right?
Oh, absolutely, especially when your career trajectory kind of depends on it.
Exactly. So whether you're actively building your English skills for that next career step, or maybe just aiming to polish your communication style, you've tuned into the right conversation.
Definitely. This deep dive, it really zeroes in on English for those crucial career moments. We're talking job interviews, crafting resumes that actually get noticed, and, just navigating the everyday language of the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And we've pulled insights from, well, top career places like the Muse, Regis College, MIT Career Advising.
Good sources.
Yeah, and practical stuff from EnglishClass101.com, Preply, plus some like real-world tips from professionals sharing on Reddit.
Okay, so our goal today is pretty straightforward, really.
Hmm.
We want to equip you with strategies you can actually use, practical language that boosts your confidence, makes you clearer in these professional scenes.
Right. We're cutting through the noise, basically. Getting to the core essentials so you feel prepared, not overwhelmed.
Okay, perfect. Let's unpack this.
Yeah.
How about we start with building a resume that, you know, truly grabs attention?
Yeah, that's the first hurdle, isn't it? Your resume is like that initial handshake. And one of the best ways to make it strong is using powerful action verbs.
Action verbs, okay.
Think about it, those tired phrases like responsible for or tasked with. They just list duties. They don't really shout about what you accomplished, the impact you made.
That's so true. They're passive. And the Muse, you mentioned them, they have some great uh, alternatives, right? Grouped by achievement type.
Exactly. So like instead of just saying you led a project, which is okay, but a bit bland,
Yeah.
using words like administered, coordinated, or even spearheaded, it just sounds much more proactive, more involved.
Right. It shifts you from just being there to being the one driving it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And it's the same for managing a team. Instead of just managed a team.
Which tells you almost nothing.
Right. Try something like aligned, cultivated, or mentored. It says so much more about your leadership style, how you helped people grow.
Okay, I like that. What about, say, bringing in business, like clients or funding?
Yeah, similar idea. Don't just say you were responsible for getting clients. Use verbs like acquired, forged, secured. It highlights the actual results.
Shows you delivered something concrete.
Precisely. Even for customer support roles. Instead of answered questions, think advised, educated, resolved. It frames it as providing real value, finding solutions. It's all about showcasing your contribution, not just your tasks.
So these verbs, they add different flavors, different dimensions to your experience.
Exactly, like analyzed, evaluated, forecasted. They show you're good with data, strategic thinking.
Okay.
While authored, briefed, persuaded, those obviously point to strong communication influence.
And even for oversight rules.
Yeah, words like enforced, monitored, verified, they convey that sense of responsibility, attention to detail. And look, when you really knock something out of the park, don't just say you completed it. Use stronger stuff. Attained, exceeded, won. Make those successes really stand out.
So the resume becomes less of a list and more of a story of your impact. Strong verbs make you the hero.
That's a great way to put it. Active hero, not passive narrator.
And I think English for workplace communication backs this up too, right? Suggesting phrases like proven track record of skilled in.
Yes. And crucially, quantifying things. Putting numbers to your achievements whenever you can.
Right. Increased sales by 15% is way more powerful than just increased sales.
Night and day difference.
Okay, so verbs are key. What about cover letters? That's always a bit debated. I saw the Reddit data science thread you mentioned brought that up.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some pros are definitely questioning if they're still necessary, especially with, the huge number of applications companies get now.
But then you get the other viewpoint, like that other Reddit comment. For certain places, maybe mission-driven ones, a cover letter still matters. It shows you align with their values, and it's another chance to show you can write well.
So it really boiled down to, is it worth the effort for this specific application?
Right.
The general feeling seems to be if you can genuinely tailor it, make it super specific to that role in that company, and really show unique value or alignment, then maybe yes.
Especially if it connects to their mission, like you said.
Exactly. But if it's just going to be generic, maybe focus that energy on making the resume even stronger. Because let's be honest, as some Redditors pointed out, hiring managers might not always read them anyway.
Good point. Okay, let's shift gears. Say your amazing resume lands you the interview. Now you've got to talk the talk, right? Mastering the interview itself.
This is where those English communication skills are really put to the test. And Regis College, English for Workplace Communication, they offer some solid advice on handling those common questions.
Like the classic opener. Tell me about yourself. What's the key there?
Conciseness, mostly. Regis College suggests aiming for like 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay, keep it brief.
Yeah. Focus on the background that's actually relevant to this job, studies, work, maybe key activities, but always link it back to the role you're interviewing for.
So why are you there? What makes you a good fit for them?
Exactly. It's like a mini tailored pitch about why you're the right person for this specific opportunity.
Needs practice, though, so it sounds natural, not robotic.
Oh, for sure. You don't want to sound like you're reading it.
Okay, another common one. Tell me about a time you had to do something but didn't have all the info.
Ah, yes. Regis College flags this one as being about checking your self-management, your problem-solving skills. Can you figure things out?
Right, and this is where that STAR method comes in, isn't it? Both Regis and MIT mention it.
Absolutely perfect place for STAR. Situation, task, action, result.
Lay it out for us.
Okay, so you described the situation you were in, the specific task you needed to accomplish, the actions you took to overcome the lack of information, and then the positive result of your actions.
Like that Regis example about the intern needing sales figures, but the system was tricky.
Exactly like that. It structures your answer into a clear story. Our brains love stories, right? So it makes your skills memorable, shows them in action, rather than you just saying, I'm a problem solver.
Makes sense. It gives concrete evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the really direct one. Why should we hire you or the next person?
Yeah, crunch time. Regis highlights this is your big chance to sell yourself again. Directly connect your unique skills, your experiences, to what the interviewer actually needs.
Like in their example where the candidate talks about communication with diverse groups, problem solving, business sense,
Yeah.
all linked back to what the interviewer mentioned earlier.
Exactly. It shows you were listening and you understand their specific needs.
Okay, let's tackle the big one. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Always tricky.
It really is. Reddit discussions really hammer home that interviewers are looking for self-awareness here,
Yeah.
and importantly, a willingness to grow.
So no cliches like the I'm a perfectionist answer.
Definitely avoid that one. Several Redditors warned against it, Willikers Mister, popcorn punditry. It just sounds insincere, like you're trying to dodge the question.
We've all been tempted though, right? Good to know it's a red flag.
Yeah, the better approach. Be honest about a real weakness. But, and this is key, immediately follow up with the specific things you're doing to work on it.
So show you're proactive about improvement. That came up on Reddit too.
Mm-hmm. Users like Willikers Mister, Home Destroy, Deep Manor, 4111 all said something similar. Just be careful, obviously. Don't pick a weakness that's like essential for the job.
Right, don't say I'm terrible with deadlines if it's a project management role.
Exactly. Or anything that makes you sound unreliable, that's a no-go.
There's also that interesting gear check idea from Reddit. Tunnel Dump 0106 mentioned it.
Yeah, the idea that some interviewers use this question to see if you've just been coached on the right answer versus giving a genuine self-reflective response. Authenticity matters.
Okay, so honesty, self-awareness, and showing growth.
Yeah.
Got it. Let's circle back to STAR for a second. You mentioned MIT Career Advising also pushes it.
They do. Both MIT and English for Workplace Communication really emphasize how effective it is for those behavioral questions that tell me about a time when ones.
So situation, task, action, result. It gives that clear narrative structure.
Precisely. MIT had that example about helping students in a math class, right? It shows exactly how to break down the experience into those 4 parts.
And MIT also mentioned a yes-and approach. What's that about?
It means just saying yes to a question isn't enough in these behavioral interviews. You need to add the and, the context, the specific examples, the details that really illustrate your skills and experience fully. Don't just state it. Demonstrate it with a story.
Add the layers, the specifics. Okay, makes sense. Right, let's move on from the interview stress. What about once you're actually in the job? Navigating office English, the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, huge topic. Clear communication is vital for just getting things done, working well with colleagues. That Reply article had some really practical phrases for meetings, both setting them up and participating.
Okay, like how to even suggest a meeting.
Reply suggests things like, I propose we meet about, or maybe, I'd like to arrange a meeting to discuss. Simple, direct.
And setting expectations, like telling people to prep beforehand.
Yep. Something like, please review the agenda beforehand, helps make sure everyone's ready and the meeting stays on track.
Good tip. And kicking off the meeting itself.
Could be something like, just to start us off, I'd like to ask everyone, and if you're presenting your work or discussing something, Preply has examples for doing that clearly too.
What about disagreements? They happen. How do you handle that politely in English?
That's crucial, isn't it? Preply gives some nice, soft ways to disagree. Things like, I'm not sure of that, or, that's certainly one option. However, maybe we could also consider...
So you acknowledge their point first.
Exactly. It softens the disagreement. Then you offer your alternative constructively. It keeps things positive.
Nice. And if you have a counter idea?
Phrases like, would it be possible to, or maybe we could explore, work well. They sound collaborative.
And keeping the meeting flowing, moving between topics.
Yeah, simple transitions help a lot. Okay, let's move on to the next item, or right now that we've covered that, keeps things moving smoothly.
What if you need clarification?
Don't be afraid to ask. Politely, of course. Excuse me, can I get a clarification on that point? Is perfectly fine.
Good. And making sure everyone gets a chance to speak.
You could ask something like, is there anything else anyone would like to share on this? Open invitation.
And bringing things back if they go off track.
Gently steer it back. Just returning to our agenda item. Or something similar.
So mastering these kinds of meeting phrases, as Preply says, it's really key for exchanging information, brainstorming, solving problems effectively.
Absolutely. Poor communication in meetings is just inefficient. Leads to misunderstandings. Getting these phrases down can really boost your professional image and teamwork.
Okay, meetings covered. What about email?
Yeah.
Still a huge part of work life.
Definitely. And email etiquette is so important. The Purdue OWL has a great guide on this.
What are the highlights?
Okay, so meaningful subject lines make it clear what the email is about. Professional greetings, Dear Dr. Jones, Hi Miss Smith, that kind of thing.
Standard language, right? No text speak.
Exactly. Avoid slang, abbreviations, definitely no all CIPS, keep paragraphs fairly short and focused. Friendly but professional. Avoid overly casual jokes, especially early on, and always, always have a proper signature block with your contact info.
Makes sense. What about replying?
Respond reasonably quickly. When you reply, trim out the old, irrelevant parts of the email thread to keep it clean.
Yeah.
And if you're answering multiple questions, you can embed your answers in the original text, but make it super clear which answer goes with which question. Maybe use bold text or a different color.
Good tip. Purdue OWL also mentioned security, didn't they? Things not to email.
Critical point. Never email things like usernames, passwords, credit card numbers, really sensitive personal stuff. Standard email isn't secure enough for that.
Right. Be careful. What about attachments?
Yeah, some guidelines there too. Maybe avoid sending attachments in a first email to someone. New spam filters can be tricky. Be careful with huge files, like big images.
Let them know first if it's large.
That's a courteous thing to do, yeah. So they expect it, and obviously keep your antivirus up to date.
And English for workplace communication had some general office phrases too.
Useful ones like, let's circle back to this later. Great for parking a topic politely. Or, can you clarify that for me? Just a simple way to ask for more info. Plus, standard email openings and closings.
And one last thing on this, the follow-up email after an interview. Reddit seemed to think that was still important.
Oh, absolutely. It's a must, really. Shows you're still interested, reinforces your professionalism. Don't skip that step.
Okay, great. So we've covered resumes, interviews, office comms. What about just like general everyday vocabulary, words you just need?
Yeah, let's broaden out a bit. That EnglishClass101.com transcript had a ton of basic words. We can group them a bit to make them easier to sort of absorb.
Good idea. Where should we start? Travel.
Sure. If you travel for work, words like entrance, tour guide, reservation, passport, pretty essential.
And just general work or study words.
Loads of those. Things like computer science, math, plan, sale, another reservation check, superior, company salary, desk, book, pen, copy machine, notebook, your basic office toolkit.
Daily routines.
Simple verbs like feel, draw, brush, shower, wash, leave.
Numbers always come up.
Constantly. Reports, discussions. Yeah, knowing numbers pretty fluently, 11, 12, up through the teens, 21, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 100. It's just practical.
What about describing places or things around you?
Could be living room at home, maybe directions like east, west, talking about the sun or the weather. Basic orientation.
Dress code discussions.
Might hear necktie, suit, sneaker. Good to know.
People and events.
Words like student, teacher, maybe watch, like a gift, best wishes, anniversary, funeral, wedding. Life stuff that comes up in conversation.
Communication words themselves.
Yeah, meta. Explain. Get back to you. Telephone, email, cellular phone, text message.
Health. Describing feeling unwell.
Basic body parts help. Eye or eyes, teeth, lip, mouth, cheek, nose. Useful if you need to explain something's wrong.
Out and about. Places.
Post office, library, supermarket, maybe helicopter if you're lucky.
Maybe. Colors.
Simple ones for descriptions. Black, brown, gray.
Actions. Feelings.
Verbs like rest, hear, want. Adjectives like disgusting if you really don't like the office coffee.
And maybe some small talk ammo. Nature. Food.
Yeah, for those water cooler moments. Knowing words like fish, maybe even jellyfish, lobster, crab, turtle, or fruits like banana, apple, grape, watermelon, animals like bird, mouse. It just helps build rapport, have those casual chats.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of ground we've covered.
We really have. So just to quickly wrap up, we looked at making your resume pop with action verbs, tackling interview questions using that stall method.
Right. And navigating office communication meetings, emails, using those key phrases.
And finally, broadening out that everyday professional vocabulary.
And the bottom line is, really, improving these English skills isn't just about the language itself. It's about boosting your career chances, feeling more confident at work day to day.
Absolutely. Which kind of leads to a final thought for you, the listener. How are you going to actively use some of this?
Good question.
Maybe pick one thing, like find one weak verb on your resume right now and swap it for a stronger one from our list. Or think about one interview question you dread and actually map out a star response for it.
So take one concrete action.
Exactly, because remember that point from the Reddit discussions about self-awareness, reflecting on weaknesses, prepping properly, that continuous learning, that self-reflection, that's really what fuels long-term career growth.